Hi guys, Dave from Mob Rules here, and I've been feeling a little bit under the weather. Got a little bit of the con crud because, well, we just had that big event up here, Ursa, which I did very, very well. As you know, obviously, because you listen to the podcast, that I went 1-3-1. It's like a perfect record, almost. But, it happens. You know what? I had a great time, played some great games, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else. So, since I've been feeling under the weather, it seems to me to be the perfect time to finally paint a Plague Bear of Nurgle. Enjoy grandfather's blessing, if you will. So, yeah. Why don't you join me and let's get started with it. Alrighty, so let's get started here. As I said, we'll be painting this Plague Bear of Nurgle here. Going to be doing a quick and easy job. It's pretty simple. It'll be fast. So our step one, we are going to take Strachan green. I really like that green color for Nurgle. So we're going to be coating the entire body except for the guts area here. And we'll kind of blend it up into the horns a little bit, but we're going to go over the horns with a different color. The blade we're going to go over with Warplock Bronze. When we get to that stage, we'll be doing all of the teeth and the horns with Rakarth Flesh, as well as hitting that eye in the center. And then we'll be going back to all the belly and open wounds and kind of putting in a little Screamer pink. We'll be following it up by washing the entire model with Agrax Earthshade. And then we'll go back over it like we normally do and kind of pick out some things. The boils on the body that are all over the arms, will be getting a dab of Rakarth Flesh. But then I think we're going to do a wash of some other stuff. And then we'll probably put on some Nurgle's Rot, because you can't not put on Nurgle's Rot. For all of the, for like on the blade and getting all fancy with the blade. So, and remember, this is a simple, fast, easy tutorial to get your Plague Bears as quickly as possible ready to go. So, as always, we just kind of shake the bejesus out of the pot. Crack her open. See, that's a really good green, in my opinion, for Plague Bears. And I'm not using any Nurgle colors for this, so I apologize if you're a purist and that's what you want to do. I'm also going to use the large base brush. If it makes you feel better, it looks like Nurgle's got his way with it here a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and get some water on there. And I like to do, as I've said in the past, kind of a 1-to-1 ratio mix. Well, that looks like it might have been a little too much, so we're going to move over here to this pot. And just kind of grab a whole bunch here and just, there we go. Mix it up, thin it down. So you may have to do 2 coats with this. I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out in a second. So you just get to it and just go to town. You know, the only place you really don't want to get it into is the belly, but hey, you know what? If you do, there's no real harm, no foul there. Just coat the entire model, and like with the bloodletter, blah, blah. Man, it's been a long time since I've done anything like this, so I can't even remember what I'm doing anymore. I've been so busy doing tournament stuff, and it's just been a giant hassle. Just like with the bloodletter, you want to make sure you get, see, if you look there, you can see up underneath there that spot right there by the neck. You want to make sure you're getting up under there, and then just coat your entire boy up. Maybe do 2 coats. Not quite sure. Let's see here. Probably going to end up looking like it might need 2 coats. I won't know until it's done. So there we go. Just going to keep on keeping on. I just had a fly buzz me. Makes sense from painting a Plague Bear of Nurgle. Anyway, I will get to this and I will come back to you when it is all said and done and dry here. So He's looking nice and Nurgly green at this point. So the next step is to take your brush, and we're going to be painting up the sword here with our metallic color. Now you can do a color of your choice. A lot of things, you can go lead belcher and tone it down with Agrax if you want, or do whatever you want. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do that's brass scorpion. I'm gonna do warp block bronze, okay? Because I want it to be kind of more of a darker, rustier metal. I'm also going to take Rekarth flesh and hit the teeth and the eyes, and then I'm going to take Screamer Pink, water down it, and do all of the gaps and stuff. And then I will also hit with Averland Sunset some of the boils to kind of bring that out just a little bit. So let's get started here. I'm going to do the Warp Block Bronze first because it's probably going to take 2 coats because I've met this color before. And it requires very little to thin down in this case. Just a little bit of water there. So, like always, you want to thin it, and you want to make sure that your pot stays open. So, take some Warp Block Bronze, put it right into your little bit of water to thin it down. Cool, that's looking good. It's looking good to me. And then just coat your blade. Be careful not to get it on the hand, however, because the hand rests. The blade rests right up on the hand, so just kind of want to hit it carefully. And then when you finish with that, nice and easy, all the way around. And finish with that. We'll come back and go to the next part. Right, so there we go. Nice and shiny, kind of gross metallic there. So, and clean off your brush, grab a new spot, just a tiny bit of water there, not very much. Metallic-y. For this I'm actually using this is a size 5 Royal and Langrel, and that's because it's what I grabbed first. You can, for the most part, you're probably going to want a smaller brush for some of the finer details. It's really up to you and your skill level. So, bust out the Rekarth flesh, whip it around, get it nice and thin. This one's actually going to need to be a little bit thinner than it is, so I'm not going to use this particular brush. The number 5 is a little bit bigger, but we'll switch down to a random. Alright, so you just get a little bit on the tip, kind of get it pointed out there, and then you just want to paint a little bit under the eye socket to get it started, because you're going to be lightening it up later on, and then hit all of the teeth. You might have to do 2 coats on the teeth just so you can get it brought up enough from the green. And I apologize. My new setup, unlike my last one, the camera doesn't quite fit, so I'm having to try very carefully to see it. Also, I'm getting old. That's the main point. Everybody will tell you I'm getting old. It's the best. I love being reminded how old I'm getting. And I just shrug it off. So, just get right in there on the eye. Just a little bit. Boom. So you're getting the teeth, and if you get a little into the crevice, it's okay. We're going to still coat the entire model a little bit later. And then the last thing you want to do is hit the horns here. Now, if you still have some of your green left, because you mixed too much and it's drying out in front of you, just kind of grab a little bit of the green and mix it right in. Let me see if I've got any left. If not, I'll mix some up just to show you a little bit there. because horns should be slightly different in color. So let's see. Hey, look at that. Still a little bit of green. So while this is still wet, just kind of start down here and feather it up in so that you don't have such a stark contrast of colors there. And then same thing over here, just around. And this is, you know, kind of mildly known as wet blending, if you will, but not quite as extensive a process as a lot of it. So then you just kind of go back and make sure you've got the horns looking how you want them to look. They look pretty good. Yeah, I'm thinking so. There are also some, I mean, technically there should be nails here, but I'm just not seeing them. So the last thing you want to do with this particular color is hit the boils, just kind of some of the bigger ones, because we're going to be highlighting them with yellow. Or hit them all if you want. It's really, it's up to you. It's your model. Okay. And he's got spines on his back, so I kind of want to also just kind of run some down the spine, I think. And there's a couple little boils there. And a whole slew up here. All over the model. So, and you know, each plague bearer is kind of different however you set it up. There's another big one. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing with the spines here that we did with the horns, because we don't really want them to be that much white. So just grab a little bit of your thin down color still, and just kind of come at them from the sides and kind of rein them back in just a little bit. So, yeah, there we go. See? Not that bad. All right, so let's move on to the belly now that we've got those done. So, clean up the brush here. Move these colors out of the way so I don't knock them over. I don't want to close them up in case I need them again, but just to be on the safe side. Spin ourselves around there. Get a little bit of water. Actually, we're going to want a little bit more than that, I think. Okay. And you can use any color for this. I like Screamer Pink for entrails, and I want to get this really thin down. So we'll get a little bit more there. Yeah, that's a good consistency. Look at that. And this is perfectly okay if you slop this onto the skin, because it's going to be watery enough that you should be able to get it in there and just kind of coat it. Get a little bit around the edges too if you want, because, you know, it's gross. And if you think you overdid it, just kind of tap a little bit. This particular step's probably going to require a couple coats of the Screamer so that the true entrails here is, as well as the open sores. Any place you see an open sore, just kind of work it in. So kind of get in there and give it what for. Once you've got the edges all nice and deep, just hit the organs. I'm going to say that with the utmost of disbelief. There's another way you could do this, and that's with shades. A lot of other YouTubers will tell you to just get in there with like a cardboard crimson shade and hit it and just knock it out the park and do whatever there. But I kind of like being simple. And then here's kind of a little weird butt flap area there. And Yeah, that one's a popped. I remember you've mixed up enough colors at this point, so if you find something that you want to be hitting and painting, then go back over and do it. You're perfectly still have the paints mixed, and if not, just mix up a little bit more paint. Now this method is going to work best for multiple models rather than just one, because otherwise you're just kind of wasting time a little bit. And you notice now I'm going back over the actual organs and just kind of hitting it and hitting any other spots that look open there. Ooh, there's a good one. Can I get into it and stay on camera? Boop. Nice. So, working into the recesses. What about down here on the foot? Give it a little color. Finish up your dudes and come back and we'll go over the next step there. Alright, so you're back and you've painted all of the little gribblies and everything else that you wanted to paint there. It's all fussed up and ready to go. Now you don't have to paint it, everything. This is just, the point of fact is that I'm painting this for somebody as a guide for them. So the next step, of course, is to take our Agrax Earthshade and we're just going to coat the entire model. And I'm going straight into the pot because I'm a monster. And then we're just going to start up here and work our way from top down. And we're going to coat the entire thing, making sure to get into every nook and cranny. And you'll notice immediately it takes a whole different tone. So, as you go along, just coat the entire model, starting at top and working your way down to the bottom. And always go back and make sure you have plenty on your brush. And make sure you hit the blade and get it worked right into everything there. Woo! Don't drop him, whatever you do. Now, if you're getting it pooling in places you're not sure that you want it pooling, say like the hand here, you want it worked in without pooling, so it looks something about like that. All over, all the way down. The one thing I forgot to mention as I was painting it was the toenails. Because I mentioned there were claws, but I couldn't remember where they were. It's because they were on the feet there, and so I painted those with Recarth Flesh as well. And now we're just gonna hit this guy nice and get right in there. Clean it up. You'll notice the belly is starting to look disgustingly dirty. All that hard work you put into it is paying off already. So, just get up there and get him. And then when this is dried, come back to me and we'll finish him up. Alright, so at this point the wash is mostly dry. And you don't need to let it dry all the way in order to do what we need to do here. We're going to just go over and kind of hit some spots. I'm going to whip out some other colors, however, than what we used, except for the green. We'll still be using the green to hit kind of the shoulders and the upper body to give just a little bit more color. But rather than Recarth Flesh, we're actually going to switch to Shabanti Bone to hit the stuff, and we're going to hit Averland Sunset on the dots. It's going to be really nice and simple and easy. So just shake up your colors. Spin your palette a little bit. Make sure to get yellow on your thumb because that's important. Grab your small brush for this. Get a little bit. Put it in your thing. Get just a tiny bit of water. Tiny bit of water. Because you want it thin, but you don't want it too thin. So, get your nice fine point there. Just like that. And then grab your pustule spots and just kind of hit the ones that are like really high up there. So the big bursty ones get yellow. Just kind of give the the smaller ones, and do the yellow to the top, okay? Just a little bit, because they're going to burst real quick with ugliness. Kind of, so there's a bajillion like up here on the shoulder, okay? And we're just kind of going to go, basically just pick out a little bit with the yellow to give them that point where they're standing out. Just like that. Come back over here and hit the top part of that again. Perfect. And just kind of hit it just a little bit. And if you get towards an area where the wash is just a little bit wet, just be careful because it'll thin your paint out a little bit more. And you just kind of tip and tap a little bit here and there. Oh, there's a big one right there on the back. That's going to need some yellowing to it. Perfect. Go back and get a little bit more yellow. A couple back here on the legs. But and you're just hitting a couple of them because you want it to stand out a little bit more. Simple and easy. And you're done real quick. Boop. Just like that. Those look good. Next thing we're going to do is grab the used Sponty bone, clean your brush out, lick it clean, shake your stuff up here, get a little bit. You can even put it in the same spot as the yellow because you didn't make very much yellow because, like I said, you were barely going to do anything. So get it on your brush so that it is, see if you can see it there. Give me some focus on the brush. There we go. It's just a little bit. Now we're going to go back in to the teeth and just very carefully pick them out just a little bit. And if you overspill on the other side there, just lick your brush clean and go back and start over. You just kind of get it a little bit on the tip. So you just kind of hit the teeth because you're just picking them up towards the bottom of the tooth, getting brighter. So that the teeth stand out a little bit more. And then at this point, you also kind of want to do the horns up top, like this. Go back and get a little bit more. And you're going to do the same thing on the claws if you can. Now, for this one, because of the way that you're kind of doing this highlight, you want to make sure that you are pulling the paint up. Start a little bit lower and pull it up so that since it's so watery, it will pool at the top, more rich at the top, and therefore, so if you brushed it down, you would be brushing the paint down, leaving behind the darker spot at the very top, which is not what you want. You want the brighter spot at the very top because it's horns. See? Now you have a nice fade to bone from that. And you're going to do the same thing on the toes, but like I said, if you can't really do it because the wash is still too wet still, well, you know, it is what it is. Plus you're probably going to put some basing on there and you probably won't even see the toes anyway. So, toe claws, just a little bit. Do what you can. There's also the claws on the back of the feet. Those you should be able to hit. So we're just gonna kind of just barely pick out the tips there. And boom. Alright. So that's looking pretty solid there. Also take your fine brush and kind of go into the eye if you can. And if you can't because you're shaky and you're worried about it, don't stress. If you got the eye on the first pass, you should be good. So now he's standing out nice, looking pretty good. Go ahead and just do another gentle pass right across the eyeball. Just trying to pick up that very bit in the middle. So it's standing out, looking good. Hit the teeth one more time just to be sure. And you can always go back and lick your brush clean if you're worried about something you did and pick it back off, because you've got this paint really thin. Now let's look at the sword here. Next thing we're going to do with the sword is grab a little lead belcher, but just a little bit. So when you mix it up, take some, put it in your tray, and don't thin it. So you've got a hair on the brush there, just like that. It's always important to get animal hairs when you're painting. So you just want a little bit on the brush, and you're going to just kind of pick up the edges of this sword a little bit. So there's kind of this point right here, and just kind of right along the edge here, because even though the blade's rusty, it's still kind of shiny in certain points. And you should be able to actually see that. And then kind of down here, if you can get just a little bit onto the handle, make it stand out a little bit, run it across the edge. These nice jagged edges here. And normally at this stage I'm just going back over and hitting things with the same color, but I feel like with this particular model, you're not trying to brighten it up too much, just a little bit. So just kind of, and then if you get, too much on it, wipe it off. It's the amazing thing about fingers there. And then the inside of the blade has also got a few points. So we'll just nail that really fast. And then carry that one over there. Looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the way this is turning out. It's pretty easy too. But then again, this particular model is in general pretty easy. So we've given them just a little bit of show through there on the blade. And the next step is we're going to take a little Nurgle's rot for this blade, and make sure you shake it up really good. And just kind of gonna take a little bit, and I just think that I just want to thin it just a tiny bit, because we just want to leave behind the hint of slime and decay, because this Nurgle's blades on a plague bearer are kind of poisoned. So just kind of work it in a little bit here, make sure we're on camera, and just kind of give it just a little bit of gross sliminess to it. Maybe just a little more there. So now I have this dark metal rusted blade. There we go. With any luck, the way this technical works, it should give you a pretty nice looking disgusting factor there. Yeah, that's feeling pretty good. All right, so now the only thing we have left to do is take our Screamer Pink in this part, because I didn't want to get anything else out. Thin it down like you're supposed to. So it's about the consistency of milk, like you're expecting. And then go back to your Yushibanti bone and get just a little bit. Kind of mix it in. So you've got a lighter color there. Okay? And I'm going to show you this. You can buy a color that's like this, but here's the screamer. Here's the mixed. And you just take a little bit, and we're going to just hit just the organs, okay? Just right across the top of the organs to kind of bring them back out a little bit. And if you want, because we get these nice, disgusting, peeled out organs, you can also hit in a couple of the larger spaces if you want. You know what, if you're happy, as soon as you're happy, be done. It's no reason to carry on. If you don't want to continue, you don't have to. I'm just, as I said, painting this for a friend. So now the guts are gorgeously colored there, and let's, memory serves me correct, there's a flap on the back side here, so we're gonna hit that like this, just a little bit right there in the center to pull it up. But otherwise, I think we're feeling pretty good here. And remember, if you feel like you got a little too much in there, lick it off and go ahead and just kind of take it back out. Comes off nice and easy. So, just going to do one more pass, and then we'll move on to the blood, because the blood is the important part. You got all these nice, glorious gaping holes here. There's a couple things you could do to change the model up a little bit. You could use a little Ryza rust on the blade if you want to have a more disgusting blade. You can add a little Uriel yellow to, in fact, I think I'm going to here. There's a couple really, on this particular model, a couple really big pussy spots. So just get a little bit of water and thin that down. Uriel being a brighter yellow than Averland. So just to take that super thin and just kind of give them a little hit right there. Nothing too stark. And not all of them. This is one of those things you definitely do not want to hit all of them for it. Just a couple of the really close to rupture ones, if that's what you want to do. It's like right up here, something that make it pop just a hair. Yeah, starting to look pretty good. Trevor's going to be pretty happy with this. All right. So we've got all that, and let me dig out my blood, which I foolishly put away because I thought I had it out. This is another technical paint, Blood for the Blood God, and it is hiding in here someplace. There it is. All right, so got these nasty gaping wounds. Take some water, spin your palette again, find a nice clean spot. And by clean spot, I mean if it's your palette, nothing should be clean. Thin it way down, because it's a very thick technical paint. And then what we're going to do is, so I'm going to switch brushes here. Grab an old brush. Kind of get just a little bit on the tip there like this. And I think we're just going to streak it kind of gently down a little bit. So here we go. Just pulling it down in streaks if you can. Like I said, if you can't, it's not a big deal. It's your model, make it look how you want it to look. So kind of just adding a little bit of that gore where all these wounds have popped here. And you want to make sure you're streaking it, because the way it'll dry. And we got this one down here. So we just kind of grab it by the lip and pull, because that's the way that blood works. Simple and gentle stuff here. This one's really fresh, so we're just gonna put it just in there, just like that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And then this one naturally right there. Go back over and kind of give it just a little bit more in the beginning. Just kind of pull it a little bit. Blood's a little bit interesting in the way that it works, this paint. So just kind of got a couple holes back here. Gonna streak some down a little bit as the legs ruptured. Yeah, I'm liking that. Anyway, so there we go. Small, simple technical stuff. Now, if you want to go back over with the Strachan and hit just a couple areas to highlight on the head, because the head ends up a little less than, if you will. Just mix some really thin back up and go ahead and hit it. And it'll add a nice highlight to the edge. Because right now, the difference in colors between this paint and this model is pretty stark. So just do that. Kind of clean off the brush a little bit. So we're just kind of go and hit like the tops of the ears, I think, for a little bit. Gentle, maybe right around the eye. Try to give it just a little bit more definition. Now, if this was a GW painting tutorial, we'd be doing 8 layers of highlights right now, but I just don't think that that's what this model requires. So just gonna hit the tops just to bring it back out a little bit. And maybe on the arms here, just a hair. Now, remember, you definitely want to make sure your paint is thin for this. You don't want anything thick. You should definitely probably hit the fingers. So that they stand out, and thumbs. But yeah, paint it till you're happy with it. That's the end result. Right now I'm feeling pretty happy with it. Of course, it's not whether or not I'm happy with it when it's all said and done. It's whether or not Trevor's happy with it, because it's going back into his collection. And, well, Trevor is a fantastic painter, so he's won a few awards himself, but he's like me. He's just kind of run out of time, like you do sometimes. Anyway, guys, if you like this, I've been Dave with Mob Rules. You can find me on Twitter, and you can follow John and also Danny. This model took me a little bit longer because I put a little bit more effort into certain things, but other than that, I'm calling it good and done. I'm not going to base it because I'm going to let Trevor base it because it's his model. So anyway, I'll get some finished pictures and I'll get that up. You can like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. I know you guys sit through me droning on, but yeah, I do appreciate it. So I've been Dave from Mob Rules, and you guys just have a great day.